The 2015-16 UEFA Europa League knockout phase began on the 16th of February and concluded on the 18th of May 2016 with the final at St.Jakob-Park in Basel, Switzerland, to decide the champions of the 2015-16 UEFA Europa League. A total of 32 teams competed in the knockout phase. Times up to the 26th of March 2016 were CET. Thereafter times were CEST. Round and draw dates. All draws were held at UEFA headquarters in Lyon, Switzerland. Matches may also be played on Tuesdays or Wednesdays instead of the regular Thursdays due to scheduling conflicts. Format. The knockout phase involved 32 teams. The 24 teams which qualified as winners and runners-up of each of the 12 groups in the group stage, and the 8 third-place teams from the Champions League group stage. Each tie in the knockout phase, apart from the final, was played over 2 legs, with each team playing 1 leg at home. The team that scored more goals on aggregate over the 2 legs advanced to the next round. If the aggregate score was level, the away goals rule would be applied, i.e., the team that scored more goals away from home over the 2 legs advanced. If away goals were also equal, then 30 minutes of extra time would be played. The away goals rule would be again applied after extra time, i.e., if there were goals scored during extra time and the aggregate score was still level, the visiting team would advance by virtue of more away goals scored. If no goals were scored during extra time, the tie would be decided by penalty shootout. In the final, which was played as a single match, if scores were level at the end of normal time, extra time would be played, followed by penalty shootout if scores remain tied. The mechanism of the draws for each round was as follows. In the draw for the round of 32, the 12 group winners and the 4 third-place teams from the Champions League group stage with the better group records were seeded, and the 12 group runners-up and the other 4 third-place teams from the Champions League group stage were unseeded. The seeded teams were drawn against the unseeded teams, with the seeded teams hosting the second leg. Teams from the same group or the same association could not be drawn against each other. In the draws for the round of 16 onwards, there were no seedings, and teams from the same group or the same association could be drawn against each other. On the 17th of July 2014, the UEFA Emergency Panel ruled that Ukrainian and Russian clubs would not be drawn against each other until further notice due to the political unrest between the countries. Qualified teams, Europa League group stage winners and runners-up, Champions League group stage third-place teams bracket. Round of 32. The draw was held on the 14th of December 2015. The first legs were played on 16 and the 18th of February, and the second legs were played on 24 and the 25th of February 2016. Summary matches: Valencia won 10-0 in aggregate. Tottenham Hotspur won 4-1 on aggregate. Borussia Dortmund won 3-0 in aggregate. Fenerbahce won 3-1 on aggregate. Anderlecht won 3-1 on aggregate. Manchester United won 6-3 on aggregate. Liverpool won 1-0 in aggregate. Sparta Prague won 4-0 in aggregate. Lazio won 4-2 on aggregate. Braga won 4-3 on aggregate. Shakhtar Donetsk won 3-0 in aggregate. Athletic Bilbao won 2-1 on aggregate. Sevilla won 3-1 on aggregate. Bayer Leverkusen won 4-1 on aggregate. Villarreal won 2-1 on aggregate. 4-4 on aggregate. Basel won on away goals. Notes: round of 16. The draw was held on the 26th of February 2016. The first legs were played on the 10th of March, and the second legs were played on the 17th of March 2016. Summary matches: Shakhtar Donetsk won 4-1 on aggregate. Sevilla won 3-0 in aggregate. Villarreal won 2-0 in aggregate. 2-2 on aggregate. Athletic Bilbao won on away goals. Liverpool won 3-1 on aggregate. Sparta Prague won 4-1 on aggregate. Borussia Dortmund won 5-1 on aggregate. Braga won 4-2 on aggregate. Notes: Quarter-finals. The draw was held on the 18th of March 2016. The first legs were played on the 7th of April, and the second legs were played on the 14th of April 2016. Summary matches: Shakhtar Donetsk won 6-1 on aggregate. Villarreal won 6-3 on aggregate. 3-3 on aggregate. Sevilla won 5-4 on penalties. Liverpool won 5-4 on aggregate. Notes: Semi-finals. The draw was held on the 15th of April 2016. The first legs were played on the 28th of April, and the second legs were played on the 5th of May 2016. Summary matches: Sevilla won 5-3 on aggregate. Liverpool won 3-1 on aggregate. Notes: Final. The final was played on the 18th of May 2016 at St. Jakob-Park in Basel, Switzerland.